Hi, everyone. Just wanted to jump in real quick before we get started and say a quick thank you to all my patrons on Patreon. Thank you for supporting this class, and I look forward to creating new videos and new content with your support. So thank you very much. Your name should be appearing in this general area right now. Thanks. Let's do am I in the right place? Kind of here. Exercise 10. We finished exercise 9 last time, correct? We got to the end of it. I believe so. I didn't actually mark it. Let's see. And Rasmus, go ahead and give you number 1.
Right. So should I just go ahead and read it?
Sure.
Augerof gemperpe efmos en mete en sach if sotum ero awo if chno emo. Yes.
That was good. Yeah, you did great.
So they found, or they came upon him in the temple with him sitting, or while he sat, perhaps.
Yeah, or just sitting.
Yeah. Intimate in the midst of the scribes.
Yep.
And listening to them and asking or questioning them.
Yes. That's it.
So
Is there anything interesting about this?
The first verb is just a simple first preterite.
Mm-hmm.
And then what is interesting is the circumstantial echmos, which he introduced in this chapter. And then again, if sotum and if chno, I guess those are all circumstantials. So he's basically just introducing the form here.
Yeah, and you're getting this really nice like chaining effect that is so common in narrative. Really, every single language I've ever studied needs a way to like chain multiple things together. Often Greek does it with participles.
Yeah.
And English does it with participles too. We would say they found him sitting in the midst of the scribes, listening to them and questioning them. Yeah, this is the way Coptic does it. And this would be, if I wanted to, with one sentence, explain to someone what the circumstantial is, this is probably the sentence I would choose, because this is exactly what it does. It allows you to just say something else, a sort of verbal action, and just tack it on to whatever else is going on. And that's really what the circumstantial is. As a converter, it takes what could be a first present type verb, although it's qualitative. He sits in the midst of the scribes, and it just pushes it down one level in like the grammatical tree, so that it makes it subordinate to something else. Yeah.
So in a syntactic tree, all of these verbs and their complements would sort of branch out from the F of the erof.
I think they would branch out from the main sentence, which is this. Okay. And that's the unique thing of Coptic, is that the circumstantial has to include some sort of pronoun, and that's actually what gives it some kind of like anaphoric reference to the erof. So in English, we would just use a participle, and the participle would modify that noun or pronoun, right? We would say that it's kind of like an adjective. They found him sitting. They found him in the temple, sitting in the midst of the scribes. We would say that sitting in the midst of the scribes describes him. But in Coptic, it actually is a full clause that is now just somehow subordinate to the main clause. And what actually tells you the nature of its relationship is this pronoun. So it is a little different. And that's why it's so hard to explain, because it's not exactly the same as an English participle, because it's on a deep grammatical level, it's structured totally differently. But in terms of function, like how you would express the idea, it's exactly equivalent. It lets you just kind of tack on additional verb phrases. So that modify really a specific thing, but you need this reference in there for it to make sense. That is pretty cool. I don't know if I've ever really thought about it in that level of detail. Okay. Any questions about this sentence?
I don't think so.
Okay. Oh, Mustafa, you're here. I'll put you on the
Yeah.
list too. There he is. All right. Aurelio, are you
I'm
back
here.
from your walkabout? All right.
Yes, I am. Okay, number 2. Afnau inipeui eau por. And por is helpfully glossed as burst open.
Yeah.
So he saw the heavens, being burst open. Or
Yeah. What are you doing with this? This is actually the lesson that we just had in Lambda that I kind of skimmed over it because I feel like if someone tells you that circumstantials can be tacked onto something, you don't really need a separate lesson to be told like item by item. It can be tacked onto this and it can be tacked onto this. Like you kind of like, you just see it and realize that like, that's what that meant when I said that before.
right.
But here we have a realization of it. So au poch by itself.
Au por would be for me, they have been opened, or they had been opened actually. I mean, au is perfective, right? So
It is. And
por, is that a No, is that a qualitative?
it's intransitive. It's like burst asunder or whatever.
Okay.
So by itself, it would be like they burst asunder in the past, or it could be they have burst asunder.
Mhm.
And then when you put the "e" in front, just like in the previous sentence.
So just a circumstantial converter having burst of thunder.
Yeah. Yeah. So you just like take that, what could be just a main clause, they burst asunder, and you just make it a subordinate clause. So it's they having burst asunder, and it actually becomes pluperfect in this case because the main verb is preterite. So it pushes it one step in the past, which actually makes it 2 steps in the past, with relative to us now. Yeah, he saw the heavens, or he saw the skies. I mean, Alan has been trying to get me to say skies for however many years now, and I still like translate it heavens. He saw, it does literally mean skies. He saw the skies having burst asunder.
Mhm.
Yeah, and something's going on here. Is this the flaming tongues scene? I'm not sure.
Oh, no idea.
It's some kind of ecstatic vision for sure, because I mean, I've never seen the skies burst asunder under normal circumstances. So yeah, whatever's going on, some kind of vision. Any questions about that sentence?
I think it's the baptism of Jesus when he comes
Oh,
out, and then the Holy Spirit comes down as a dove.
yeah,
That place.
makes sense. Okay, it's very dramatic. Randy, do you want to do number 3?
Sure.
Oh my gosh, Randy, this one's so hard. Do your best.
Okay. Enterton de aval pennet maut au bemewe ginef matedes chepe ipe enef jo ema.
Yeah, Lycopolitan. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I can recognize most of the words at the very least. Let's see,
They're always just spelled weird. Lycopolitan is the one dialect for me that it always like, I really have to, I have to put a lot of thought.
So I think it's let's see. I might be mistaken, but tone, I think it's like to agree with, possibly to comply with. I think I saw it in Luke and in Lambden's reading selection, but I could be wrong. So like a doer of,
It might be. I don't actually know this word, Toten, but my guess is that it's from the, like in Saitic, it would be Toen, which originally meant something like to stretch out, but then gradually over time came to mean to get up. So it's like what you do when you get out of bed in the morning, right?
Right.
I think that's it. I'm gonna just look at the vocab because I can't be sure of that. Rise, yeah, it definitely is that word. So something has happened here where the there's this thing that happens in Afroasiatic languages generally, I think, but definitely in Semitic and Egyptian, the weak consonants kind of form a sort of set, and they can vary with one another between dialects. That's really, really common. So what seems to have happened is that the W of Towen is a glottal stop in this dialect, which is seems totally random, but if you've seen it happen enough times, it stops seeming so random because there is this kind of deeper connection between the yod, the W, and the glottal stop. They can kind of vary with one another in surprising ways. So yeah, this is rise or get up, basically. Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out if ref is like that agentive prefix, or if it's like.
I think it's intere, the temporal.
So like when.
Yeah.
When, let's see, when he rose, out into the mouth. Is that like mouth, like somebody who's dead?
Yeah.
So like when he rose out onto the dead.
Yeah, and this, you really want to do aval hen just as from. It's literally out in, but there is something kind of useful here. If it were into, if it was kind of some kind of like implied motion, it would be ehun or something like that, or eh. You'd have one of these prepositions that implies motion. Since it's a static preposition and he's moving, he must be doing it from. So he's rising out from in the dead or among the dead, something like that.
So yeah. When he rose out from, I'm just going to say among the dead, they remembered when, let's see, they remembered,
I think this is the subject marker.
Oh, like in chi?
Yeah.
Let's see, when he rose out from among the dead, they remembered, let's see, his students remembered that Peipe, I know the J part is like that or which, but I don't know what.
The pay part looks super wonky because they've actually spelled the E with epsilon yoda. So if you remember the rule that epsilon yoda can almost always be collapsed into just yoda, then it becomes pay this.
So is that more to disambiguate it so you don't get it confused for B? So you know it's bay and the epsilon is actually pronounced?
Yeah, I think so. In fact, this spelling actually follows the rules of Saitic better than the Saitic spelling does, because the Saitic spelling requires you to put a little diaeresis on the yoda because the word is actually pei. It's not spelt correctly in the way you're used to seeing it. This is actually a more correct spelling, but it's unfamiliar because we've always seen it the other way. It's kind of like when you see like the word night written N-I-T-E.
Right.
Like, that is what it actually sounds like now. Doesn't need a G in it anywhere, but it still kind of looks weird. When he rose from the dead, from among the dead, his students remembered that this is Jepeipa, NF Joe Emoff.
That this is, let's see, NF. This is thing the let's see, which he said.
Yeah, I think this is imperfect with a circumstantial converter added to it.
Oh, so like if it was in Lambda, it would be like a, and then a hyphen, and then the NF Joe.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the Joe needs an object or so, I think, and so that you put Emoff or Emos or whatever after it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's right. Okay, so do you feel like, can you do the whole thing?
So like, let's see. When he rose from among the dead, his students remembered that this is he was this is the thing he was saying.
I think just this is what he said, although it is circumstantial. This is it, which he was saying it. When he rose from among the dead, his students remembered that this is what he said. That's a good quote, actually. I wish I could make the meter, clean up the meter a little bit, and then it would be like a little couplet.
I'm just expecting like the, you know, like in Sahidic, you could do like the pentaph, whatever, like this is,
Yeah,
this is the thing which he, but I'm just saying, you know, Beipe, so it's like, this is the thing that it is, he was saying it. It just sounds strange to me.
it is a little strange. There's really no good way to make it into clean English. And if you wanted it to be, what we really want it to be is like Pentov Jove, like that which he said.
Right.
We don't have that. We have like, this is it, which he was saying it. So it's like he must have been talking about it all the time. So when he rose from the dead, his students remembered that this is the thing he was always talking about. He was always talking about that he was going to rise from the dead, and here he is. I think that's the intent anyway. Once you start chaining converters, your ability to render it in natural English decreases drastically. So yeah. Okay, that was good. That was definitely a tough sentence. I saw that L and I was like, oh no, this one's gonna be difficult. Okay, but you did well. Mustafa, you want to do number 4?
Yeah. Hafcho emme Shante Herodes Mo Hafcho under.
It's not that word. It is shoot, what's this from? I think this comes from the word wo, but it's a verbal prefix that we don't have in Saitic. Actually, we do have it. It's just that it looks like this. So Saitic actually merged 2 distinct verb forms. One, the preterite, and the other one, the perfect. This is, in some dialects, the perfect is retained as a separate form. It begins with hori. So this is actually, it's like afcho, but it's the perfect.
Then chomis is,
it's like stay.
Yeah, he has stay. Sorry, Mike.
Was that your mom?
My aunt.
Was that your mom? Oh, it was your aunt.
Okay. Hafcho.
Tell her we say hello.
He got gone. He stayed. I thought it is demonstrative.
I think it's imal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He stayed there. He stayed there. Shante to enter that
Herodes is the guy's name. Herod.
Yeah, it's actually Hebrew. Or
Maybe.
as
I
I
don't actually know.
remember, there is a Hebrew king in the time of the Flavius dynasty.
Oh, wow. Okay. I mean, I know who Herod is, and he was definitely, I think he reigned for a long time. I don't know if he reigned that long, but he's the King Herod. He's like the governor of Judea under Augustus,
Yeah,
and he sucked. I
yeah,
mean, yeah, he's like
yeah.
not a nice guy.
He stayed there to that that Herod.
Yeah, he stayed there until it's actually he stayed there until Herod died. But I think he
Okay.
did something really good with this. So Shah, is the preposition that means like from here up to. It's like until. It can also be used to form this verb form whose name I forget. Oh man, what is the name of this verb form? I think it's called the until form, actually. So this is actually a Coptic verb form. It's shante plus noun plus verb, and you can attach the suffix pronouns too. So you could say shantefmu until he died. So this is like he has stayed there until Herod died, but this is in a past tense narrative. So then it becomes he had stayed there until Herod died. And this is probably the flight to Egypt, I'm guessing, because like the Holy Family goes to Egypt because they're killing all the firstborn sons again, because that's a thing that happens a lot for some reason. And then they come back. I think that's where this is from. I don't know. Okay, good job, Mustafa. This is definitely something you haven't seen before. So great job sorting that out. Okay, back to Rasmus.
Actually, I have a quick question about number 4.
Sure.
So you said Haf in Mesopotamic or whatever it's called. You said that's actually originally part of the perfect that's the Hedic lost. So where does the Hori come in from, like earlier stages of Egyptian? If the Aleph is for like the past tense of, or no, it is the word to do, but like past tense, where does the Hori come from?
So I'm not 100% on this, but I think it comes from the word woe. I think it's related to that word, which means like to stay somewhere. I would have to go look. I definitely read a paper that explains the origin of this perfect. I just don't remember it that clearly, but I have a vague recollection that it's from woe. Like he stayed staying there, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, so this tells us that the Sejemef of woe is the infinitive. This tells us that the Sejemef would have been something like uhaf. Because it would be weh. What is it? What's the etymology of that word? Okay, now I'm curious. Oh no, it's going to switch to my other thing. Oh well, we'll switch back.
So that's a really common verb, right? Ein, basically, that one?
Is it that one?
I don't know. From what you were describing, I was mapping it onto this.
Oh, it's just wah. I just couldn't remember. It's just wah. Lay.
Okay, so something different.
I think that's where the perfect comes from. So if it were wahef, it would probably be something like uhaf, and then the initial vowel is lost. Wait, I need to go back to the other PDF without scrolling through all my windows. Okay, so the initial vowel is now lost, and the stress is probably here. So then that's the chunk of the word that gets retained once it gets squished into some kind of verbal prefix over time. Yeah, I should look that up though. I don't like I'd say I'm like 90% on that explanation because I don't have anything else in mind. So it's like, if you have one answer in your memory, that's probably the right answer because, you read it one time and just like, that's what's there. So I think that's probably right, but I would have to go back and check to be sure. but it makes sense also that this would be the Sejm F form of that verb. Cool. Okay. Any other questions about number 4? That was a great question. Okay. Who did I? Oh, Rasmus, do you want to do number 5?
Yes. So Tube Taujo and Kin Robai Nectem Saho. That was surprisingly difficult.
Yeah.
Tobe is to seal up or to put under seal. It's glossed in the vocabulary below.
Oh, good. Yeah.
So put under seal, and this is an infinitive, or rather, I think it's the imperative because it's used at the beginning of a sentence.
Yes.
So seal up, and then the next word is a bit difficult to pass, but I think we have initially, or to start at the other end, we have in Taujo, which is they said them. The relative of the first perfect, I guess. In Taujo, they said them.
Yep.
And then we have Nen Taujo, which are those things which they said them.
Yep.
And then we have Eren, which I guess is the originally a preposition combined with an element R that is just a mouth, and then N, which is the off preposition. So it's to the mouth of those things which they said them.
That's exactly right. Great job, Rasmus. Yeah.
That's a bit difficult to untangle. So
It was.
Seal up those things which they said, I guess would be a proper translation. And then we have the enki that marks the subject, and the N of the plural, and then chrobai, which means thunder.
Yeah.
And this is really weird. So so it means basically the thunders. So seal up those things which the thunders said. And finally, we have nectem saho. Sah is to write. O is a plural object suffix, so to write them.
Yep.
Then the neck is the conjunctive that we just said about, and the tem would be the negative. So
I'm just now realizing I totally forgot to talk about the negated conjunctive. Oh well.
Well, we've seen tem used for negation before, so
okay.
I guess people can figure it out. So it's seal up those things which the thunders said, and do not write them.
Yeah, that's what that says. What in the world does that mean?
This was so weird. I had to look up where it's from, and apparently it's from Revelation. Go figure.
Okay. Yeah, that's fitting.
Yeah. There's this angel comes down. I think it's in, was it verse 10? Revelation chapter 10, verse 4. Apparently there's an angel that comes down and stands with one foot in the sea and one foot on land, and then he opens some sort of container, and the thunders apparently come out. Really weird.
Gosh, that is just so trippy. I love it.
You should go and find it. Yeah, it's interesting.
I don't know why I'm failing so hard at this. Let's just do Revelations 10. Oh, it must be titled Revelation. Ah, there we go.
There we go.
And when the seven thunders spake their voices, I was about to write. I heard a voice out of heaven saying, "Seal the things that the seven thunders spake, and thou mayest not write these things." Wow.
I love it that it says spake. Which translation is this?
This is Young's literal translation, so it's really helpful. Like, my Greek is not all that great, and when I look at the Greek, it's really helpful to have like a literal, because you can figure it out. And it's also really good for the Coptic, because the Coptic is a quite literal translation of the Greek most of the time. So if you have a literal translation in the other direction, that makes them at least closer. Yeah, that's what it says. Seal the things that the seven thunders said and don't write them. Cool. Wow, you lucked out with that sentence. That is, you got a really special one. This word is kind of interesting. So hru comes from like hro, that means voice.
Voice, yeah.
And then the bai, I feel like bai still means thunder. Thunder voice. Or I guess, what is bai?
Maybe it means soul.
It does mean soul. It does mean that. It has like 10 meanings. This word bai is really overrepresented. Lord of spirits, soul, night raven, screech owl. Let me look up hru bai. It might say, might be in here. It's a cool word. I definitely like it. Although a lot of times Coptic just uses the word bronte, like taken from the Greek. Did I miss the? Oh no, I'm too far down. HT. Yes, we're getting there. Getting there. Ooh. Oh, here we go.
There it is.
Voice of heaven.
Oh.
What? Yeah, originally a lake in the sky is used for sky heaven in the Greco-Roman period. Wow.
Huh.
Wow. Okay. That's definitely new information to me. I mean, why? Yeah, whatever. Okay. Cool. That was a good one. That was a great sentence. I wish all our sentences could be just that absurd. Because that was awesome. It's one of those where you're like, I'm pretty sure I'm reading this correctly, but that doesn't mean anything to me. Always fun. That's the best thing about reading Gnostic texts, is you'll be like, I'm pretty sure I got the Coptic right, but that is bananas. Okay, Aurelio, do you want to do number 6?
Sure. So number 5 is hard to top. Ko evol taru ko neten evol. Forgive so that you will be forgiven.
Yeah, that one's a bit, it's known, you know.
That was
Good
easy.
advice. Yeah. What do you get for this?
Hang on, I have to look up the word again, but it's called prospective something. Prospective conjunctive, also called the finalis, I think.
Finalis, yeah.
So in order that.
That's it.
Throw out so that you will be thrown out.
Yeah.
Sorry, couldn't resist.
Literally, yeah. Throw out that they
so that they will throw you
y'all
out. Yep, there you go.
That's it's in the Bible. Throw out so that they will throw y'all out.
Sounds more like a bar fight.
It does. Remarkably few of those in the Bible, unfortunately. Might add some drama to the narratives. Get a bit slow at times. I don't know if you're allowed to say that, but we definitely do. Okay, so that one, good job. I'm sorry you didn't get a better sentence, but luck of the draw. Randy, what do you think about number 7?
So I'm guessing that Gunja, because it's Bohairic, is the equivalent of the Chima and Sahidic, at least a good amount of the time. So it looks to be, let's see, Bijonet et neu. So the anger which is coming, the anger which is on the way.
That's it. Yeah, the coming anger. There's nothing interesting about this sentence also. I'm really sorry.
We need a booming movie voice here. The coming wrath.
Yeah, we need like DS Irae playing. Dun, 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 dun. But we don't have that. And the version that we have sucks because it was just me making it with my mouth. Okay, Mustafa, do you want to do number 8?
Yeah. Tkolu beletra en Slowam Pei Esharowa Hemef C Pentauten au Pentanao.
Good, yeah. Esharu wahmef. Esharu wahmef. So this one is a vowel, and this one is a consonant, even though they're the same. And the way you know that is because this is a triliteral verb. So it's
Wahm.
wohem is the verb. And then, okay, so that means that this is the prefix, right? Esharu, and which means that this is the third person plural, which means that it's u as a vowel.
Until or something like that.
It's not until, this is the aorist.
Okay.
Like in general, they do this thing. I think it would be shall in Saitic, but sharu, if I saw that in a Saitic text, I wouldn't think it was strange either, because you can almost always take these verb prefixes that are like, if it was like shaf or shy or whatever, if you were to put it before a noun, it would become share, and then you can then reverse engineer that and make a third person plural that's like sharu. It makes sense.
To them, then Kolubetra means a bathroom or something like that. Yeah,
Bathing pool.
bathing pool. Yeah, bathing pool. And Siloam. Siloam. Maybe it's a location. I don't
It's
know.
a name. Yeah, it's the pool of Siloam. I don't know what that is. Feel free to pipe up if anyone does.
Shalom. I don't know.
It's similar enough that could be correct in theory, but I don't think so for this reason. So what does this say?
Hey, maybe it is demonstrative pronoun. I don't know.
Yep. This.
Okay. This Esharo this to them. Wahm.
It's not to them. This is the aorist. So this which they do.
Okay, which they do.
Wahmef.
Wahmef. Wahm. Stay. Actually, dwell.
That's woh without the M. Wohem means to repeat.
Okay, wahm. Wahm. I get it. Which they did repeat. Pentau tenawov. Repeat it.
Yeah, and also, so wohem is also the way that Coptic says like translate. So like translating is just repeating something in another language. So it makes sense. So the pool of Siloam, which they translate it as Je, Pental Tenawef.
Pentau tenawef. Those who Pentau tenawef. The one who
Al Tenawef.
When it's or ire. Is it ire?
Yeah, this is the relative past.
Okay.
So the one whom they
Tenawef. I don't solve it.
It's so tenau is to send. So tenawef is like send him. So pental tenawef, he who was sent.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Pental tenawef.
No. Actually,
so it's
grammatically yes, but in context, actually not.
Okay, so the pool of Siloam which they translate it as he who was sent. So Siloam means he who was sent. So this is a Hebrew word, which anybody want to give us?
The only thing I can guess is Siloam, maybe like there's a word in Hebrew, shalach, which means to send, but that's all I can think of.
That actually does work. I mean, there
I'm
must
just
be like a
confused by the
third week
the M
version
at
of
the
that
end.
verb.
How do you say send them then? Is there no?
Oh,
You
in
can't.
Hebrew,
Yeah, you can't.
in Hebrew, I think you say like to send, like shalach otam. I'm not 100% certain, but like, you know, it's related to the word hem in Hebrew, which means masculine they. So they, hem would be like the nominative, and otam would be like the accusative, or the, you know, like
I see.
to do something to them.
Got it. Okay, so no, it can't be contracted from that. I think this is
This
somewhere
is
in
very
John.
garbled.
I think this is somewhere in John. I just looked it up a little while ago when we started the lesson. I didn't get very far. And apparently it's a pool where I believe Jesus healed, I don't know, a blind person or something of that nature.
Gosh, I don't remember this at all. I normally know where these things. I'm gonna try to look for it in English. Siloam. Siloam.
There you go.
That's a different Siloam.
Tower of Siloam.
Just interpreted sent here. There you go.
Sent.
Yeah.
I can see it being like a passive participle or something, but my Hebrew is not good enough to like reconstruct what it actually is. But yeah, here's the Saitic version.
It would certainly make sense, because I mean that you can put the M that in present day Hebrew you'd introduce it with the ot or the et particle. You can put that directly onto a verb form in biblical Hebrew. So it should certainly be he sent them.
That's why I was wondering
Okay.
if you could stick the like a suffix pronoun, if you can do that in
Yeah,
biblical Hebrew, so you can.
you
Okay.
can-
It
That's
sounds
cool.
plausible. I mean, I just don't have the intuitions for like, because you know, biblical Hebrew does that a lot with the pronominals put right at the, you know, attached to the word, like, you know, like he sent them, or you know, he killed them or something, you know. So those, I'm not really well versed on those forms, but it sounds possible.
This would be a good one if anyone is curious enough to look it up. There are some really good like New Testament study tools online that one would probably have a note on this. Might be easy to find. I'll probably go look it up afterwards, actually, because I'm kind of curious. It's always interesting to know where those places are in real life and go visit them, because they're kind of cool. Okay. Any more questions about the pool of Siloam? Did the sentence make sense?
I just found in the book of Samuel there is a place where it has shilachacha, so that's basically he sent you, with the suffix for the second person directly attached to the verb. So I guess if it can do with the second person suffix, it could with the third person plural as well.
Okay.
Okay, that's cool. I'm still struggling
But I
with
don't know
one
if
part
that's
in
the
this.
actual etymology.
No, it's just sorry, didn't want to interrupt. I'm still struggling with something in sentence 8, namely the pay. So do I have to, in like modern spelling, imagine a comma there? The pool of Siloam, comma, pay,
Yeah.
shadow, something like that?
It's parenthetical.
Okay.
So it's like, you could replace it with like etapaipe. So like, which this is, etc. But you can also just say pi. So like, in the pool of Siloam, this, which they translated, the one
Got it.
whom they sent. Yeah.
Understood. But we would say in English, the one that, or something like that. the one that they call, or the one that they translate.
Yeah, exactly. Coptic can do that much more easily without needing a bunch of like filler type words. You can just say pipe X and just kind of throw it in as like a parenthetical, and it's understood that way. Yeah,
Makes sense. Thanks.
yeah, sure. Oh, any other questions about number 8 before we leave it? It's a good sentence. I like it as a sentence. Gives us this meaning of wohem that I was quite pleased when I think I was reading the New Testament and I figured out that wohem meant translate. I was like, oh, that makes sense actually, because it is kind of like repeating, but with a different language. Yeah. Okay, Rasmus, do you want to do number 9?
Sure. Well, I can try at least.
That's all I ask.
So, Piseu itafretotef en toto enimagos. So Piseu, which would be the time with the Bohari version of the article, and then
Yep.
I'm a bit unsure about the verbal form, but
it would be entaf in Saitic. It's just the relative past.
Okay, so that would make it the second perfect.
I think it's relative.
Or the first perfect relative, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Which he and then Hotef would be, I think Erling glosses it as something like to know by personal experience, which is
just discover.
Yes, so the time which he discovered it in toto, of them, from them, in them,
from them.
And then enimagos would be of the magi, the Eastern. I'm not sure how to exactly understand this context because we don't know where it's from, but I guess it would be the magi that appear in the Bible, or that would be one interpretation. The 3 wise men.
I want to suggest that word be translated wizard. Oh, he has sage here.
Wizard.
I like wizard though.
Yeah, magos.
The hour which he discovered it from the wizards. Yeah. Okay. Any questions about this sentence? I don't know what this hour is or time, but it must be, some time of importance. It's like he had to consult, and like magos, I say wizard just for fun, but it's like an astronomer would be a magos too. So like, when is Jupiter in Capricorn or whatever? You have to ask a wizard. Okay. Aurelio, you get a bonus one because your last one sucked.
Okay, let's try that one. That's a mouthful. Pentauch pafte, aval gentarx, uxarxpe. Okay. Those who are born of the flesh are flesh.
Yeah. Not those though. Hen.
Those. He. Oh, wait, no. Yeah, right. Because that's a passive there. So he who is born of the flesh is flesh.
Yeah.
Is that better?
That's it. He who is born of the flesh is a flesh. And he who is born of the spirit is a spirit. And we are all born of the spirit.
Got it. Can I add a question to the main text? Unless somebody has something about 10. So there's one example earlier on. Let me see. That one puzzled me. If you go back to the bottom of 10.2, so just above 10.3. Yep. It's the second line from the top. Ischete teten veke, efna shope, efna shof, pe. Behold, your reward will be plentiful in heaven. Okay.
Mhm.
And the part that trips me up a little bit is the teten veke. It goes on with if, which makes me think that veke is masculine, but then it says teten. So your reward is veke feminine or masculine? The online Coptic dictionary didn't give the gender, and I didn't look it up in Chrome yet. But somehow that doesn't seem to fit, or am I missing something? I think the F does refer back to the reward.
Oh, it does. It does. Yeah.
Then shouldn't it be
And it's
Peten
just,
Veke?
I think it should be Petten. It might just be a typo. Is this, what's this a quote from? Luke
Good
6:23.
point. Well, let's look it up.
6:22.
Peten. There
Yeah,
you go.
it's just a
Peten.
typo.
Okay, that explains it.
That does explain it. That's also like something that I should have noticed when I was proofreading. I didn't even notice it just now when you're pointing it out to me. I had to go look for it specifically.
Okay.
It does seem a little odd that there's like a tetin, but I didn't recognize it as a typo. Good catch.
Well, I'm glad it's not something weird. Let's put it this way.
Isn't that nice when it's not something weird? Oh
Mhm.
man, finding a known typo, because like in ancient texts, you can never tell if something's a typo. And it's like, oh, with the third person optative singular, whatever, they can use the plural article. And oh, god damn it. Why
We
can't
had
it just be a
we had
typo?
this epic discussion about male virgins the other day on the server, and at first I thought, oh, this must just be a typo. Somebody's spinning a theory because of a single typo. But then more and more examples came up. Where I found some others found some tons of examples where basically Parthenos seems to refer to male virgins, something I was completely unaware of. So that seems to be an attribute for some holy men, that they were Parthenoses, so, or Parthenor, whatever.
So they claim.
So sometimes, to your point, sometimes it's real. It looks weird, and you think, oh, somebody just spelled it with the wrong article or something, with a P instead of a T. But then it turned out to be meaningful, actually, in that case.
It's always fun when it is real too, but you have to find a bunch of examples. And when you do find a bunch of examples and you're like, this is a real thing, it's awesome. You're like, oh, there's this little like weird wrinkle that can happen. But that moment when you find one weird example, it's a time of uncertainty. All right. Any other questions about this chapter? So I think we successfully went through an entire chapter today. So that's awesome. So we're going to be starting on the next one next time. Okay. I'll see y'all next week.
Good one.
See
Bye,
ya.
everyone.
Bye.